Hi.
Hi.
Joe doesn't know what's happening. Joe's here.
It's happening.
Hey, everybody. Joe's here.
Special surprise last second random guest, Joe. My friend Joe.
I invited this guy that's in my house.
Yeah, he just happened to be here already. So I was like, come on, be on the podcast. I was thinking how it's funny that Joe has been in so many things, videos of mine, and he's like 2 main characters and 11,000 background characters in reality. And yet, whenever I have to explain to a Watchtower database fan who Joe is, I'm like, oh, you know the Batwoman video at the end where I go up to a door and then there's a guy in a Batman costume standing there? That's Joe.
It's probably the role that I've done where I was the most talented.
Yeah, you did. Well, and then we did.
I don't know. You've done a lot of back of James's head, you know.
That's true.
Or
so
like
you,
James's
though.
torso. Yeah, I mean.
You guys are famous for being my body.
Which, I don't know if, not that anybody listening can see the 3 of us, but I feel like we all have like perfectly different complexions and hair colors and skin tones, just everything.
I'm best known as James's backside.
Official credit in the thing. Played by Joe.
And I know that you're going to put that in there somewhere, Jamie. Specifically
I'll find a way.
James's backside in the credits
in
somewhere.
an official production. Well, this is Jump on the Bat-Wagon, everybody. You know it. You love it. I told Joe about Yoppie Dudes.
It's a good name. It's a really good name.
I think he just wants it to be Yoppie Dudes now. Joe has no affiliation with this podcast, really, or like understanding of what we do or anything like that. He's just kind of along for the ride, because why not?
Joe's good, if for nothing else, Joe, I know you're good for one-liners. So I feel like if there's like just like there'll be like a random silence, and I feel like you're coming with like an absolute like zinger of a one-liner, and
It'll
I'm
be
looking
2
forward to
minutes
that.
later after the topic, though.
Yeah, no pressure.
James will edit it like into a time. It'll be fine.
Yeah, edit it to make me seem smarter.
That's what I do all the time. Yeah, that's my specialty.
Yeah, you should hear what I sound like unedited.
I don't like sitting sideways from Joe where I can't look at him. I either do this the whole time and can't see Brian, or I have to just watch the tiny Joe on the Zoom screen and pretend.
I mean, I'm watching the tiny U2 on the Zoom screen.
You're watching U2?
How's Bono?
He's great.
Joe gets to experience that. That's what we do when we don't know what to say. We just do that. This is the show where we have to watch through the entire DC animated universe from start to finish in the controversial airdate order, Brian and Joe, to view these shows the way human beings experience them in the far gone days of the 1990s. This is Brian's first time through the entire DCAU or any of the DCAU, and also I don't think Joe has ever really purposely watched any of these shows. So he's going to experience today's episode with us as a newcomer as well.
It's best not to start with the pilot.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah. As we know from the 3 times I've tried to get you to watch Battlestar Galactica, don't start with the first episode because you won't make it any further than that. Even though Joe's also technically seen the last episode, but he doesn't remember, I'm sure.
Nope, not really.
You just know there were a lot of taiko drums.
I did that same thing with you and Jessica and Game of Thrones, where just we gotta watch this one episode and then we can do whatever we're gonna do. And it was like this big, fight battle scene at the end of some season. Like a dragon comes in at the end, and it was like this big ooh and ah. And I'm like, okay, is this Game of Thrones?
I still haven't seen any of that either.
Yeah, we were just talking about that earlier. We recommend that you watch today's DCAU episode before listening to this podcast to get the full experience out of our discussion. We're going to watch it here in a second. Please, if you have mail or leave a comment, do not spoil anything past this episode for Brian, because I don't want him to know things that are going to happen.
Don't spoil stuff for anybody.
You can email Joe directly at boop to tell him all of the spoilers for everything that happens for the rest of all the shows.
Maybe I'll even open it.
Yeah, and then he'll tell Brian, oh no. Today we're watching The Demon's Quest Part 1, which your prediction last time, Brian, was this is the Green Goblin episode. So I don't know how accurate that is. But we'll
100% accurate, I'm sure.
Yeah. This aired originally Monday, May 3rd, 1993. We skipped 2 months and 9 days. It was back-to-back no skipping, and then we finally have a big
We
jump here.
skipped my birthday.
We sure did. No one wanted to. They said, "Oh, Brian, he's turning 50 this year in 1993. We better not." This is another running gag, Joe, where we say Brian is old. Tell Brian he's old.
You're pretty old. I mean,
Yeah.
Nice.
You look okay, but you're old.
Thanks.
You look okay. That's true.
You have more hair than I do.
We're just saying, something for how old am I now? If I was 50 in 93, I guess I would be like approaching, 70?
Almost 80.
Oh my God.
Yeah. You're approaching 70, almost
old.
80.
Yeah.
Objectively pretty old.
Yeah.
The Demon's Quest Part 1 produced 59th, aired 57th. Very
Okay.
close, no cigar. I think I looked through the remaining episodes. I don't think it ever happens. I don't think they ever line up one time. We get real close, but it never happens.
Wait, how many were produced?
What?
So wait, this was produced 59th, aired 56th. 57th.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure, I can do math. How far ahead were they in order to have we've made this many, and okay, now they're airing 56.
Well, we talked about for the Invisible Man episode last time how that was close to the end of their production, but it
Yeah.
was given a much earlier slot. I think
Right.
they produced the first 65 episodes before any of them started airing, is what I
Okay,
understand.
that answers my question.
I might be wrong about that, but if not, then they got very close to that from late 50s around where we are right now. But then the remaining seasons of this are all very short each season because they're give us a few more. That was
Okay.
good. A little bit more. That's enough. Stop now. But we got writer Denny O'Neil on this episode. This and part 2 are his only DCAU credits. He created the character of Ra's al Ghul, who is the main antagonist in this episode, I'll just tell you.
Oh, I finally get to see this dude.
Yeah. He showed up at the end of that Off Balance episode. He just said creepy thing and walked toward the camera, and then it
That's
faded out to the credits.
Is this
You
going to
remember,
be
Joe.
one of those things that we were talking about the other day where is either a good thing or a bad thing that he only did 2 episodes? These are the golden episodes. It's one of his 2 episodes. Or is it going to be like our Seinfeld thing where you can really tell where Jerry Seinfeld wrote parts that aren't as funny?
Yeah. Well, I think you'll find out the easy way by experiencing the episode. Although you don't have anything to compare it to, so I don't know. Have you seen any of this, Joe? Can you recall any DCAU episode you've seen?
No, I didn't watch it as a kid or anything like that.
You were
There's a
Power
good
Rangers
chance.
kid.
Did
I
you watch
was.
X-Men? Did you watch X-Men?
No, not really.
Damn it, Joe.
Why are you
Yeah.
here? Get out of my house.
So it's pretty clean slate. I'm sure there's been an episode or 2 in passing, just having been around James so much.
Yeah.
I'm
You-
sure,
you
by
get the
osmosis, I've absorbed things through him.
You've seen Batman come out of my hand thousands of times.
Yeah, on every single receipt at every restaurant we've ever been to.
Yeah. I don't think I've discussed that on the podcast. Right? I don't remember if it started with you, Joe, or not, but it might have. Where I think you wanted me to draw Batman as the signature, entirely, but now I've just started writing my name really fast, and then I see how quickly I can draw Batman. I try to draw it in 2 pen strokes or whatever. But when you do an electronic receipt, they'll email you sometimes the receipt, the signature, and if it has a Batman head, I'll save it to my phone, and I'm going to do a quilt.
And I have to say, after all these years, you're starting to get pretty good at it.
Oh, thanks.
Agreed. I didn't know you
finally
you've gone-
drawing Batman well.
I didn't know that you've gone to signing your name. I thought you were just doing the Batman head.
I was just doing the Batman head for a while, and then I felt
I feel like
weird
it was
about
every single time that we went to Dutch Bros, it was just the Batman head or something.
Oh, yeah. When you sign the iPad, I would do that. But now I just do James Stricker Batman.
You can literally do anything at all. It's not that it has to look like your signature. It's just
gotta
you
be you.
saying
Yeah.
this is my signature,
Yeah.
whatever it is. So it can just be a Batman head. Just saying.
So Denny O'Neil, he was a very influential comic writer for DC and Marvel, the writer of this episode. He created Ra's al Ghul. He also is a co-creator of Bane, Green Lantern, Jon Stewart, Azrael, and many others. So
He
even though-
created Jon Stewart?
yeah, the host of The Daily Show in past. Yeah, wow. No one's made this joke before you.
Oh, really?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Joe, these are the buttons. We press. This one's the Hey Arnold theme song.
Oh, I was wondering.
You thought it was going to be like an Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah, I did.
It just says Arnold next
I was
to it.
almost asking if I could just push buttons.
What do you think Sad Bwops is?
Is that like the trombone, like?
You're correct. You even almost had the right note.
I was saying that was really close for never having heard it before.
This episode was directed by Kevin Altieri, who has directed a number of episodes. On Leather Wings, Cat in the Claw Part 1, Feet of Clay Part 2, Pav, The Clock King, The Last Laugh, Eternal Youth, Two-Face, Night of the Ninja, Heart of Steel, Off Balance, and The Mechanic. We have music by Michael McQuistion, who we've talked about. Lolita Ritmanis, Michael McQuistion, and one that we haven't had yet, Christopher Carter, will become the trio of composers that do everything at some point. But Michael McQuistion was the composer for Be a Clown, Vendetta, I Am the Night, Christmas with the Joker, Off Balance, and Harley and Ivy. And then for the first time in quite a while, we have animation by Tokyo Movie Shinsha, TMS. We've only had 4 episodes by them so far. Fear of Victory, Two-Face Part 1, Feet of Clay Part 2, which had that really cool Clayface ending. And they did layouts for Harley and Ivy, which was animation that you despised and I thought was cool. So we have a stacked lineup here. What do you think? What do you think quality-wise we're going to be experiencing?
I think it's going to be perfect.
It's going to usurp Heart of Ice as your number 1 finally?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep. I mean, visually. But it's going to be so good visually that the story doesn't matter. So I think I'm just going to put up my number 1 right now, knowing that it's going to be perfect, because I don't want to be late to the party.
Okay, so you got Heart. Brr, I'm cold because my heart is ice is finally going off lower on the list.
Wait a minute. Is that what it's called?
No, that's your name. That's not the name of the episode. That's just your name.
Wow. I feel like I should change my name.
Because my heart is ice. It's time to watch the episode, Brian.
Yeah, okay, let's go do that. Joe.
Okay.
No! Yes, unless you tell me how to find the mercenaries who did this.
They have fled with the boy and the woman.
Where?
To Malaysia, in a pagoda in the shadow of Mount Marapi. I know nothing more. I swear it.
You had to clap like Ra's al Ghul.
No, you have to clap like the... Oh, God, what is that Egyptian...
Anubis?
Yeah.
His helmet.
B.
I knew it. Anubis. I knew this. So we watched the episode, yeah?
Yeah, cool. So
I was there.
Next episode is part 2.
Yeah,
Tune in next time.
I realized in the past we've had the guest tell us what happened in the episode in their own words.
Yes, it is not my synyop to do. It is Joe's.
When we had Dan Reba on, Brian still did it. I figure the director of the episode knows what happened in the episode. But Joe, will you please tell us what happened in the Demon's Quest Part 1?
This is
breakdown.
So, bear with me on names here.
Yeah.
Batman? Robin?
Robin gets taken hostage. Who did it? I don't know. Who's this creepy, really old guy that shows up? He's Ra's al Ghul. I'm going to take you to India. Now we're going to go to Malaysia. Jump out in the Himalayas. Hey, you found Robin. Dunk me in some green juice.
That's pretty good. Okay. That'll be the shortest synopsis I've been listing out all of Brian's in his own words as like an episode guide made. So that'll be like this the smallest one.
This is one of those like Titanic in 5 seconds.
Put me in the green juice.
I really, Joe, that was maybe my favorite one that's ever happened.
It's pretty good. It does not compare to the enormous length of the real one.
God.
Do you have any instrument that you want to play? The people requested instruments.
Okay, what do you want?
I don't know. The mandolin behind you looks okay, or maybe that flute would be appropriate for this episode. It's up to you.
Whatever. You said mandolin first. Let me get a pick.
Okay. When Robin is mysteriously abducted from his college campus, are you going to play this? When Robin is mysteriously abducted from his college campus, the Batman begins a fruitful search, until he is astounded by the sudden appearance in the Batcave of Ra's al Ghul, the mysterious cult leader whose name means the demon's head. Ra's quickly reveals himself to be the lead. What?
Is that what that means?
They said it in the episode. Yeah.
Oh, I missed it. Thank you.
I mean, I already recapped the episode. Where were you? It's been twice now.
Yeah, sorry.
God.
Yeah, Joe said that.
I suck.
It means the green juice. Ra's quickly reveals himself to be the leader of the Society of Shadows, whom the Batman encountered in Off Balance, as well as the father of Talia, the femme fatale whom the Dark Knight also met in that episode. It seems that Talia has been abducted under circumstances similar to Robin's, suggesting that the same persons are responsible. So begins an uneasy truce, the Batman and the Demon teaming up to find the kidnapped victims. After Batman survives a number of traps en route, in one of which Ra's al Ghul is apparently killed, it comes down to the Batman on the trail alone. His quest ends in a mountain fortress where he finds Robin held captive, alone. Are you still playing? Yeah, you are. It's only after freeing Robin that the Batman reveals what he'd suspect. Okay, so this is the bulk of the episode in one paragraph, and then the last 2 minutes in the second paragraph. It's only after freeing Robin that the Batman reveals what he'd suspected from the first, that the abductions and the search were all engineered by Ra's as an arcane test of Batman's mettle. In this manner, Ra's hoped to gauge Batman's worthiness to succeed him as leader of the Society of Shadows. It seems that Talia, who now appears here, clearly nobody's prisoner, is in love with Batman. And Ra's, who is thousands of years old, that's not what he said, thanks to the rejuvenating properties of his Lazarus pit, believes his body will not withstand another near death and resurrection. Now he needs an heir, and Batman has been elected. As Batman curtly refuses the offer, Ra's collapses and is rushed into the pit from which he unexpectedly emerges. And as the episode concludes, we learn that a byproduct of the rejuvenating process is that the subject emerges temporarily insane and with the physical strength of 10 men. Now it is this formidable opponent, this enraged juggernaut, who seeks revenge on Batman for spurning him, even if he must destroy his own daughter to get it.
So in that last paragraph,
The end.
To be fair, Ra's, is that, am I correct now?
In this, we'll talk about that, but in the cartoon, it's Ra's.
Ra's, okay. He did not say how old he was. She just said that that's the pit that they've used to keep him alive for 600 years.
That's true.
So
he's 650, 669. Yeah, what you asked if that lined up with Napoleon.
That's
how long ago were Napoleon?
He died May 5th, 1821.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess what's the time? Is that current time in the episode? It's 1993.
Yeah, pretty much. Close, yeah, 1990s.
Yeah, when is this, Jamie?
1990 something.
You were there.
Yeah, I was there. I was one of those guys that
Brian was there and sentient. So,
yeah, Brian, what do you think of this here episode? And Joe, you can chime in because you're also here because you're Joe.
I'm just here to derail.
No, that's James.
What did you not think of this episode?
What did I not? Wait. I thought this was it was a good episode. The art was really good.
It was really good.
Really good art.
I think this is one of those an example finally to me anyway of you really got to see part 2 to give this a proper review because not a lot happened in this. It was go to the place and then go to this place and then go to this place and he's the bad guy, put him in the green juice, the end. It wasn't a lot of substance. But
I mean, with that whole summary that you read, I don't want to quote Norm Macdonald as Burt Reynolds in Saturday Night Live, but I said the same thing but faster.
Yeah, you sure did. Yeah. Yeah, there's just there. It's not that this episode's boring. It's just like, I guess it's supposed to just give you a lot of time to like get to know Ra's al Ghul and Ubu, but then
Fucking Ubu.
all of that is just them going, "I'm coughing, don't step in front of me," and that's pretty much it. That's all you really learn about him.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. Like, you asked what I thought about the episode, and I realized I didn't really say much because, like, that's just what it was. It was like all the traveling parts in Avatar, like the Last Airbender Avatar. It's like all the traveling bits with none of the action really, other than a fight scene and like Batman wrestles a puma.
It was all the traveling parts, except then you complained that, like, they're just in Malaysia now? Oh, why didn't I see them go there?
That's why, I mean, well, that's kind of why it was just like, it was substanceless travel. Just like, oh, now we're in India because I said India and we're in Calcutta, and oh, we're just going to like fight these guys who happen to be the exact guys we need to see in a city of how many million?
Yeah.
And
I mean, I guess you're supposed to assume that Ra's is like steering them around, like making him do these things because he's bringing him to the spots, but what?
That's fine, but you think Batman would just be like, oh wow, that's really lucky that we just keep happening on these, and I know that he like explains that like, oh, he knew it from the beginning, so he was just following him, but like come on.
Yeah, we're at the place where we happened to be told to go by a map with a fingernail that I saw, and there's bad guys here too. What a coincidence!
It's also interesting how they travel to India and Batman just knows exactly which alleyways to go down. Like,
I've
was
been
hemp
here
around
before.
the base of this knife. I know where that hemp came from. There's a shop in India that I know about.
It has incense, I think.
They take their plane. Where, I mean, I guess, how many, can we Google Earth how far it is from Gotham to India?
Yeah, let's
That was
go.
a pretty quick flight. That's
Manhattan
pretty impressive.
to India. And no, not Manhattan to Indianapolis. I know that.
Yeah.
Manhattan to India.
I'm gonna guess like 7,000, 8,000 miles. 8,000.
It's,
I don't know. It's a
I mean, I guess
17-hour flight.
yeah, it depends on what part of India. I mean,
Calcutta.
It's not like this is a bad episode. Like you had a good point that the animation and like everybody's very on model. Everybody's very well drawn. What?
Distance from New York to Kolkata. I said Calcutta, but is that how they say
To cold cuts.
7,915 miles, and I have never been more proud.
That deserves.
Here we go.
That's it. Here we go. I got it right.
you know, really, having not watched much of this, if you just took this as the first time you've seen a Batman episode, you go, oh, well, Batman just does everything by himself. He doesn't need Robin. So this episode could have been over 30 seconds in where they have a picture of Robin hostage and he just goes,
I'm glad he's gone.
I guess I'm not going to have to pay for his insurance.
No more college dick for me.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. What is your thought on that, Joe? Like your first Batman episode?
It's fine. I mean, I expect things to be very like cliche, and there's a lot of like cheesy one-liners. They're effective, but they're just a lot of the
That's strike one or whatever.
a lot of that kind of stuff is just like it's almost cringy, but you also really love it.
Yeah.
Like
Action movie
every
stuff,
single line, it's entertaining. I liked it more than Battlestar Galactica.
Okay, I'm not offended by that.
I would rather watch this.
All right, well, Joe's going to be on the rest of the
sweet. Don't tell Dylan.
If this is what, after you guys having watched other episodes, if this is something you consider boring, then it's not that bad.
Like I said, I don't
drag
think
to me
it
or
was
anything.
boring. It was just sort of not a lot happened, I guess.
No, there's not. And there's also a lot of like, I don't know if it was purposeful to take up more time in the episode, but like when he's opening the envelope that has Robin's picture, he does it so slow.
Yeah,
like,
there's a lot of
I don't know
moments
if you've
like
ever opened mail before, but I don't just really daintily tear it open and what's going to be in here, even though it says American Express on the front.
I better read my own address for a sec to make sure.
Is this me? Can we
It
talk
says
about
Batman.
the it was going on fine, and then there was like this one pause to start them all, and then suddenly they're just animating these like 5 seconds, 10 seconds of nobody doing anything but just kind of sitting
at
there.
each other, yeah.
Especially at the end.
Yeah.
With like looking back at Robin. Well, are you ready to go?
Yeah. I guess it was supposed, like you said, it was so awkward, and I feel like that was the intention, but it did hang on a little bit too long of like, you feel like in a modern day thing, there would be some little like, bloop, 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 bloop thing in the music, like, oh, this is a silly thing that's happening. And then, but since there was nothing, no music, and it was like hung on twice as long as I would have edited it, it was just like, okay,
It hangs
keep
on
going,
3
please.
times longer than I would have edited it. And so with that, can I ask you, I know we keep making TikToks, but I'd really love for you to go like Big Bang Theory with this and put in a laugh track to fill that silence.
I was thinking you were going to suggest doing like just lengthening the awkward pause like twice as long, just making Robin like it just keeps cutting back to the same shots.
It's also like, it's not like he even changed facial expressions when it focused on him.
Yeah.
He just kind of stood there like,
Yeah.
Yeah, just staring.
Staring.
Yeah. Well, the same thing with
could have moved his eyebrows or something.
Talia standing next to him with her big pointy boobs, and Ra's al Ghul's like, my daughter loves you. And he's like, just looks at her. All right.
There was also her flipping her hair back,
Yeah.
and she flips one side, and Batman's like, "Oh!" And then it takes the
She
other
has
side.
two eyes. Yeah.
She flips the other side. Now Robin's engaged. Oh, I only do people with 2 eyes.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you could do both of those as TikToks or whatever, I'd be very happy. Thanks.
I'll add it to my list.
You need to start doing those, man. I mean, what are you doing?
Yeah, I got
time.
nothing going on. What did we think of the music in this episode? It was very Aladdin a couple of times. Like I
But at
said,
the same time, not Aladdin enough.
yeah, it could have been more Aladdin, I think.
Boom, boom, boom.
Well, it showed like Malaysia, and the skyline looked very Agrabah, because
Yeah.
of course. And then I said Agrabah, and then it immediately like it did this.
That's another
little
thought that I
Aladdin
have. Is this like a normal thing in cartooning when you have people that are from like the Middle East and you just darken the underside
thing.
of their
Yeah,
eyelids?
I thought about
God.
that too.
I don't know. I've seen people from the Middle East. That's not even what they look like.
It falls in the same category to me as like, oh, the black characters have lips.
Oh,
Like, is that racist? Like, can we stop doing that? Like, you either draw a mouth or don't draw a
Yeah.
mouth. Like, that's the only thing. I don't know. Yeah, well, just in general, that scene was just kind of like an American's idea of what it's like, and also like what it's like hundreds of years ago, not like 90s Mumbai.
What does 1993 Calcutta look like? Let's see. Nothing but dirt streets. Everyone's wearing
Yeah.
turbans.
Yeah.
and people fighting with 2x4s.
What was with that guy?
He had a
Batman
sight.
pulled his mask off and he goes, no! And then Batman goes, yes! And then I was
Unless.
like, what the
Like, what?
Yo, what were you expecting he was going to do? Make out with you? And Joe said a COVID thing. I think.
Do you think that they don't know who Batman is? Do you think they know who Batman is? Does
That's a good
everyone just
question.
kind of know who Batman is? Because otherwise, if I'm not mistaken, Batman doesn't kill people, right?
Yeah.
Right.
What do you get? No, it's not like you're going to die.
Well,
You're just going
I
to get
think-
thumped on the head.
At best, that guy knew who Batman was, but maybe didn't know Batman doesn't do that. Or
I kind of was
something.
almost wondering if it was the reveal of pulling the mask down and like, no, you're going to find out who I am.
Yeah.
Like, okay, henchman number 6.
Yeah, there was nothing. Oh, you're a guy. You have a mouth, actually.
It was a strange take, and I wonder. Like, there's quite a few times in the writing of this episode that I'm like, what were they intending? Like,
Yeah.
what was the just like that? The no, yes, okay, why?
I feel like that's actually a pretty good feature because even as I don't know what the like target age group for this show is, it's probably not, somewhere between 30 and 86. But
Brian is older than you could even imagine.
people that have, I guess, enough experience watching TV or cartoons and can kind of go, oh, well, this is cliche. Like, this is what's happening right now. we're sitting here guessing, like, why is he doing that?
Yeah.
So really, it's pretty effective when you think about it.
I guess so. It is questionable. Like, the target audience is quite a questionable thing. When we started off this show, we were saying that, or James was saying that this aired on 4:30 on Fox Kids. It wasn't actually Fox Kids. It was just Fox, and it was like right before, I think, Home Improvement.
The first few were 10 a.m. on Fox Kids, and then since then they've been 4:30 on Fox, like on the adult programming block. Like it aired right before in Living Color. We figured out.
Oh, was it? I thought it keeps thinking it's Home Depot or Home Depot. Been doing a lot of work lately. Home Improvement.
Home Depot.
But like everything's edited. Everything's edited. Like the censors are set up for kids. So it's like who is the target audience?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's children, but
it's Dylan.
I mean, it's almost kind of like one of those Disney things where, you know, those Disney movies are often targeted toward kids, but there's always like that little pinch of adult humor somewhere in there where the rest of us get to go, I know what that means.
I recently watched Coco, and there was a boob joke in there that I was very happy to hear.
Boobs. There were some of those in this episode.
Boob jokes? Or just boobs?
No, just boobs, yeah.
Boobs.
Like, ooh, boob.
Oh, you said it.
Oh
my God.
I made that.
However, Ra's al Ghul's are the only ones that you saw.
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
And he went, you can see my boobs now.
If you don't remember what part of the episode that was post green juice. He lost his top in the green juice.
Yeah, the green juice burned.
It boiled it off.
Episode title right there.
So far, that probably is the closest thing to a Green Goblin that we've gotten in this series. So you weren't too far.
I'm feeling pretty good about that because he does he goes in the green juice, and there's that bit where she's like, it's funny that what's her name?
Talia.
I was gonna say Zalia. Talia.
Zatalia.
Talia's like just looking down into the boiling green juice, and he's like, "Oh, good, he's fine." And the camera pans down, and it's just juice for another 10 seconds.
Oh, he had a great opportunity when he came out of it to go, I'm something of a scientist myself. Instead of just sitting there going,
I'm something of 600 years old.
But what is he? He spews lava, and that's when he's looking a little bit goblinish. So
that's called gastroesophageal reflux disease.
I'm glad we have a paramedic here with us.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. You could. Yeah. What was it? Which one of you said? He's not breathing. You couldn't try CPR first.
Brian said that.
Oh, it's funny because that was just he stopped breathing. The obvious only thing for us to do in the whole world is dump this dude in a green boiling lake.
Batman has watched a man get thrown into green juice and become the Joker. And he's like, yeah, go ahead.
This is a good idea. Joe, as a paramedic, can you let me know, if you showed up on a scene somewhere and somebody either had a weakening pulse or they stopped breathing, would you would your first go-to to be dump them in some green juice?
I'd try to find out from bystanders if they're allergic first.
Okay. I'd see if they had a daughter that was willing to corroborate and allow me to put him in the
Hold
green
on,
juice.
wait. Have you been doing this for 600 years? Has this worked before? Has this green juice worked before?
Do you have a hot daughter who loves Batman?
Is your daughter in need of a suitor?
This is like an infomercial. Do you have a hot daughter who loves Batman? Are you not breathing currently?
Are you over 600 years?
Try boiling green juice.
It's the quenchiest.
Live to be 600 years old and learn things from Napoleon himself.
Napoleon told me to dump in the green juice if I was feeling lucky.
I guess this is more a question for James probably, but do you remember what it was he said Napoleon told him?
As I learned from Napoleon something on the airplane. I don't know.
Yeah, Napoleon and all
it was about being stronger or wiser or better.
I just kind of wonder why that's why I wanted to relate that was Napoleon the person that they had to choose for this? But I don't know. Why did they choose Napoleon?
Maybe it's just everyone knows that Napoleon was a while ago, so it shows you he's old or something. I don't know.
Napoleon was a hot topic in 1993.
He was, yeah. He went to Hot Topic. The cast is Kevin Conroy as Batman, Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. as Alfred. Most of these are returning. Lauren Lester as Robin, Helen Slater as Talia, Manu Tupou as Ubu, he also has to have an Ubu style name, I guess. He was not in a ton of stuff. I wrote down that he was a Native American chieftain, Yellow Hand, in a movie called A Man Called Horse. However, he himself is not. He's from Fiji.
That's a
he
bad.
is not Native American.
That's a bad.
It is a bad. He had bit parts in Baywatch, The A-Team, Magnum P.I., Fantasy Island, and Hawaii Five-0, among others.
Cool.
But
I'm pretty sure I watched all of the Magnum P.I. episodes as a kid.
Oh, so then you saw Manu
I've probably
Tupo.
seen them, yeah.
David Warner as Ra's al Ghul, and Frank Welker as Thug, who I'm pretty sure is the guy that had a bad Indian accent that Joe said,
Oh, that's
that
a white
guy's
guy?
a white guy.
Yeah.
voicing him, and it certainly is. He's a Nibbler on Futurama.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
And he's Freddy on almost everything Scooby-Doo.
Wow.
Even from the original Scooby-Doo cartoons. he
Freddy
still
is
does
the
it today.
whitest guy.
He is the whitest. He was previously the ISIS, the cat ISIS.
Okay, that's what that means.
Yeah, he was previously in ISIS.
Oh, God.
And he was also Werewolf FX in the Werewolf episode.
Oh, God. Cool.
I'll tell you some tribs now, yeah?
Yeah, tell us some tribs.
Medium-sized tribs. This episode doesn't feature a title card directly after the opening credits, instead going straight to Robin's kidnapping. We talked about that
about
as
the
it was
cold
happening.
open. Yeah.
Yeah, first and maybe only. I can't think of any other episode that does that. Maybe next episode will also do that, or like the part 2 or whatever. But yeah, and then the title card also wasn't like a painted cool background thing. It was just like, here's the Batcave, here's the title.
Yeah.
Although it was in like sort of Aladdin font or something. So whatever.
Papyrus.
Papyrus, yeah. When Ra's explains how he deduced Batman's secret identity, he references Off Balance, the episode. That's Talia, the first one, where his daughter Talia saw Batman without his mask. When Talia was introduced in Off Balance, her eyes were light blue. Now they're a deep green, Brian.
Wow.
Dumbasses.
What? Oh, my God.
So- It reminds me of a part of this episode when Ray first introduced himself. I was in the Batcave, how he somehow got into, yeah? And Bruce had his mask off. He like talked to him for a second, then put his mask on.
Back on,
Like,
and then left it
why
on
are you
for the
put-
rest of the episode.
They know who you are, man.
Maybe it cost 5 cents less per frame to draw Batman's mask than it does to draw Bruce Wayne.
He didn't like neuralize them before he like after he put it back on or anything.
See you around, Batman. No, you won't.
And then he refers to Bruce Wayne like third person later.
Yeah, when they're traveling through Malaysia in the forest that Bruce Wayne contributes money to keep the forest or something.
I guess he just saying that as if like
he's not Bruce
they're
Wayne.
two different people or something. I don't know.
Also not wearing seatbelts.
Oh, God.
Oh, we didn't talk about like Batman wearing a fur coat.
Oh, I've been
waiting.
Well, just to like, full spoiler. Now I feel like I have to think of something else. That was absolutely going to be my rating.
Oh, well, you could use that.
Usefulness.
You could use it.
No, I got to do a different one. That's fine.
Well, I just like that. Yeah, there's a handful of situations of Batman and just in like normal person, like he's in like a Jeep. Like it's weird seeing like him and also like green cloaked Ra's al Ghul just in like a Jeep, and then Batman, just in a fur coat.
I feel like
it was all kind of weird.
If we've got Batman with a fur jacket, an Arctic looking jacket on when they're going to Malaysia, I want him in that like tan, with like the jungle hat, kind of like safari look going on, but all that over the bat gear.
I like how they didn't take the opportunity for like an action figure to give him like a bat version of that, to have it be like black and blue or something, but there's a bunch of cool weapons coming off of it.
Yeah.
Can we also take note of him magically disappearing out of his cape and catching a panther in it? Biting off the end of some capsule and dumping it in.
He like puppeteers the cape into a Batman shape, and the panther goes, "Oh, that must be the guy," and jumps into it.
Dumb panther.
And then Batman drops a suppository into the cape bag, and the panther goes to sleepy bye.
Because it's
Sorry, PETA.
You said
But
how
hey,
to
remember that Batman doesn't kill anything, so just go taking a little nap.
Snappy cat.
His tongue out. He's definitely.
We never actually saw him, give the suppository. Technically,
It wasn't his. fault.
It was in the cape. We
just
don't know what
assumed-
happened in there.
Yeah. We didn't see inside the cape. Batman.
But it was butt stuff.
when he like dumps the cat out, and it's like, oh, my cape's all stinky now. Dang it. It's got like green smog coming off.
I feel like also when the Panther came out of it, that it was a lot more like shriveled up.
Yeah, it was
He
smaller.
looked smaller.
And not as like muscular.
It was a very
It was
over
like
the
a-
garden wall thing where there's a big monster dog becomes a regular.
I wish I got the reference, Brian.
When are we going to watch Over the Garden Wall, Jamie?
I don't know. At some point.
It's fall now. We have to watch it like the next time.
Maddie
we're
reminded me to add it to the list of things to watch. That's a very long list.
Yup.
But, yeah. This episode, more trivs, is a close adaptation of the story from Batman and Robin the Teen Wonder, Volume 1, number 232, from June 1971, titled Daughter of the Demon, the first appearance of Ra's al Ghul in the Batman comics, as well as The Demon Lives Again, Batman 244, September 1972. Both this episode and the comic are written by Denny O'Neil, and the comic featured art by Neil Adams and Dick Giordano. Okay?
Dude, that's wow. Great.
The ending of the episode with a dying Ra's al Ghul being dunked into the Lazarus Pit to be rejuvenated back to life is taken from the ending of Batman Volume 1, number 243 from August 1972, titled The Lazarus Pit, written by Denny O'Neil with an art by Neil Adams and Dick Giordano. Same
Sweet.
people. There's a bunch of comics, and then they're like, episode.
Why not?
Why not? The address of Wayne Manor is given as 1007 Mountain Drive, Gotham. Now we know.
Does that line up like, again, probably a James question.
Uh-huh.
How many other times have we seen in other adaptations of Batman
The
an
address. I don't know about the address of Wayne Manor specifically. I just know that this Gotham City is in the state of New York, unlike most Gotham cities being in New Jersey. So I wonder if you could calculate like where 1007 Mountain Drive would be in like Manhattan, if that's a thing.
Has anybody tried to Google Maps that?
Well, Brian is right now.
Yep.
In the
the
meantime, also, I guess, sorry, a question for James, because the knowledge one here. How many episodes until Chris O'Donnell takes over Robin?
I've been honestly debating whether we should watch Batman Forever and Batman and Robin as part of this podcast because they came out during the run of the show.
I feel like your soundboard should have some sort of Batman and Robin clip on it that's like a bat bomb.
Yeah, I only have eight spots, and I gotta keep this one that we never use anymore. That used to be plot device, is what we would say during that.
We'll have to like update it next season, get some new sounds.
A bat bomb, cowabunga. Brian, are you looking up 1007 Mountain Drive, Gotham?
Yeah, so
And we're not Gotham?
What's the chance that Gotham is like northwest of Philadelphia and not actually in New York?
Is there a 1007 Mountain Drive, Philadelphia?
Yeah, the only one in the country, the only 1007 Mountain View Drive is in Chesterbrook, Pennsylvania.
Mountain Drive, not Mountain View.
Oh, is it Mountain Drive?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, whoops.
Oh, yeah, it's right here in Manhattan.
Oh, this looks like Bruce Wayne's house.
There's I got Mountain Terrace in Oregon.
Whoa. You mean Big Bus?
No, those are two different places.
Okay, Brian, I'm moving on. Okay?
Move on, James. God.
This is the last thing that I have on here is this has already come up with us just trying to say his name. How to pronounce Ra's or Raz, a pretty common argument amongst DC fans. The two creators of Ra's al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul, whatever, also just can't agree what it is.
Oh,
They're
really?
both dead now, so we can't ask them again. But Denny O'Neil would say Ra's. He's the guy that wrote this episode. Well, Neil Adams, who would draw the comics, said Ra's al Ghul.
How is it spelled?
RA''S. So, but there is like a story behind how it should be pronounced or whatever. We went to Neil Adams was at a Comic-Con that Maddie and I went to a couple of years ago, and I saw him and I thought, like, I don't know what to ask him. Like, he's barely he's not involved with the DCAU at all. I just knew he created this character, so I was like, what do I ask him? He's right there. No, there's no line. And so as I'm walking toward him, I'm like, just ask him some Ra's al Ghul question. So I just asked him like, what do you think of the interpretation of Ra's al Ghul in the DCAU? And then as soon as it came out of my mouth, I said like, or Ra's, or however you say it. And then he just immediately lit up in this like diatribe about how upset he was at anyone that said Raish. And he was just going, oh, I don't know how you could ever say it that way, because in Arabic it's this and this and that. And we're like, oh God, I'm so sorry.
So that's, I think you've actually told me this story before, James.
Yeah, probably.
Because that seemed to like trigger something, because that was the one thing I was going to bring up was like, okay, well, if, us being Americans read it, it's Roz, like phonetically,
right,
the way that it's spelled. But if this guy is meant to be, Middle Eastern or something like that, then yeah, Raish, I guess. I don't know that one as well. I bet you the person that decided that was the person's name should probably have a say in that matter. So whoever created the character is the one who has authority on that.
Well, but that's what I'm saying is the two guys that created him both pronounce it differently.
Did they both create? Who created him? It
both,
came out of one.
Of them.
It came out of no, but
somebody said the name
came out
first.
of one person's mind. The idea came out of one person's mind. They didn't both like, okay, you say a name and I'll say a name. 1, 2, 3, and then they.
Well, okay. Let me read off the little history here. Maybe this will help you. So this is mostly from a Nerd Sync video. I looked at because I was like, I got to expand on this for the trivs. I don't know the actual story, so I watched the video here. The character was created at a time when comics were making a fundamental pop culture transition to a higher importance. Denny O'Neil said in a 2014 interview, the conventional wisdom was that a comic book has a life of about 3 months. It was junk. It was birdcage lining. So villains and stories could be reused and recycled over and over without the readership noticing or caring. They decided to create a new Batman villain intended to be the Professor Moriarty to Batman's Sherlock Holmes, as smart and capable as Batman. Neil Adams said, we're either going to go to clowns again or we need a new character. DC Comics editor Julie Schwartz came to the team with a name meaning head of the demon or the demon's head in Arabic. Raz is technically accurate because of the actual Arabic word's Americanized pronunciation. The A in Raz even originally had a macron over it. That's the like horizontal line indicating to stress, like in Raz. Denny O'Neil recounted a story where his UCLA attending daughter asked her professors how to pronounce it, and they went with Raish. In Hebrew, head is Rosh, and the professors surmised Julie Schwartz of Jewish descent may have been more familiar with Hebrew than Arabic. The 20th letter of the Hebrew alphabet is pronounced Raish, which looks like a backwards lowercase r and is meant to physically represent a bowed head. No, so all of that being taken into account, I still don't fucking know which one I would say that it is.
There's kind of good arguments for both.
Of them, yeah.
So let's throw a third name in.
There is. So when it says Raz is technically accurate because of the actual Arabic word's Americanized pronunciation, here's the problem with that Americanized.
Yeah. Well, it's mostly that I'm just not saying it with like a proper accent or whatever. Like,
but then you have UCLA professors, but
they're not talking about Arabic.
Not just that, but one of them is probably like a professor of basket weaving, and it's like, oh, I pronounced that Raish.
He doesn't actually have any.
It's not like, oh, this is the professor of Arabic studies or anything like
maybe.
that.
I'd say if it's supposed to be an Arabic name, then you go by the Arabic pronunciation. In saying like your Hebrew pronunciation is inconsequential.
Yeah. If he came to it and said like, oh, let's go with this Arabic phrase, the demon's head, it's Raz Al Ghul. That seems like end of story to me.
Yeah.
From my perspective, like I read this character's name many more times before I ever heard it said in the show, like on the websites, biographies and stuff that I would look at all the time because I'm a fucking nerd. And so I always said it Raz in my head, and then I watched the show and they're like, Raish Al Ghul, Raish Al Ghul, all this stuff. And then so I just, my tiny kid brain went, oh, okay, whoops, I was saying it wrong. The end. It's Raish. And then it wasn't until Batman Begins that they say Raz again. And then I'm just like, wait, what the fuck? What are you talking about? Liam Neeson, get it right.
Why haven't we gone for like Ras yet?
Yeah, just mix it up.
Or just like
Razzie-aggle.
Raz. Jazz hands version.
Razzle Goo.
Yeah, so I don't know. Because like every interpretation of the character now, if he appears in like a video game or a movie or whatever, or the Arrow TV show, they'll just say it a different way. They'll be like, "Oh, and I picked one," kind of a thing. So it doesn't help with the continued muddying of what it's supposed to be or whatever. So at this point, I wrote down, at this point it's separated itself enough from any actual language and become more of a fictional character name. So either pronunciation is more or less acceptable. But I don't know how I feel about it in general, because it's like, is it weirdly semi-racist to say it wrong, or is it like, oh, it's the guy's name? Like if it feels like we've been saying Bruce Wayne this whole time, but then it turned out Bruce in the original Latin or something is pronounced like Bruce. I'm not going to start saying Bruce Wayne. So I don't know.
I wouldn't say that it's. I mean, I don't know. I'm not the authority on this one. It's really hard
Why
to say,
not?
but I feel like saying that, like, if it came from a phrase that
Is Arabic.
Yeah. Then like you go with that. But then again, I'm also like reminded of like the GIF argument where the creator of
it's now become like part of society or whatever. And if enough people say it wrong, I mean, I'm not on board that. I don't love that. I don't like the the dictionary definition is this, but now we've changed it because too many people were stupid.
Yeah.
I'm okay with either being acceptable. You know who they're talking about.
Yeah.
But on top of that, I'd be like, but this is technically the right way to do it.
Yeah.
There's even an episode, I'll just say it, there's an episode much later, like we won't get to it for years, where a character says Ra's al Ghul and then they get corrected to say Raish.
Oh God.
So it's kind of like, did they know what they were doing when they wrote that line, or were they also still, not, because they're working with the guy that wrote the episode is the one that says Raish. So like they have no reason to think otherwise, I would guess, but I don't know.
All right, this argument's taking up too much time. It's Jeff.
Yeah.
It's Jeff, but it's Jeff with a G.
Oh God.
No, it's Geff.
Jeff.
I'm pronouncing
Joffrey.
I'm pronouncing it Geff al Ghul from now. So yeah, we can move on past that though. It's a we're not the first people to have this conversation.
Won't be
I'm
the last
sure
either.
not.
Okay, keen effects in this episode. Did you notice any keen effects, Joe?
Ooh, I'm the wrong person to ask about that.
There's some cool lightning flashes at the start with Robin.
That was really
The gun
neat.
shooting yellow discs.
Oh,
That was something.
Oh no, circles! My
Yeah.
weakness. Yeah.
I was perplexed by the static headlight coming out of the helicopter. So everything was
Oh, yeah.
moving, but it was very like it just didn't. It had texture, but it had no movement, which was kind of strange, kind of cool, kind of strange.
What's the thought process in like the sides of buildings only drawing some of the bricks?
I guess it's to give you the idea of a brick texture, but without having to spend an hour drawing for a 2-second shot. Or
Does it
whatever.
matter if
Yeah.
it's a brick building?
We get the real questions here with Joe.
I think it's a lot of
I feel like we're really
implied,
overthinking this a lot.
a lot of implied.
Yeah.
Like what am I trying to say? Like
Stylization.
Yeah. Yeah, and they, as we heard on the episode with Dan Reba, there's
the net. Yeah.
yeah,
Is that what you're talking about?
Well, there's just like some things are like really hard to draw, and other times it's like a literal like time crunch. And so if you can give like the impression of bricks, you do like a little like smattering, a 5 o'clock shadow of bricking, if you will.
Yeah.
Then they save time and money and all that, and you get the idea. But then it upsets
I feel
people
like
you.
unless it's pertinent to the story that it's a brick building, you save even more time and money by just going, this building's a great building.
Fair point.
You should go tell them in 1993 Warner Brothers Animation.
I'm sure it'll happen. Actually, no, these days it probably won't happen, but
What?
like someone just drawing a couple of the bricks in a building with the way the animation is nowadays, it's like
Oh.
you can see every little texture and
Yeah.
piece of the brick.
HD.
Yeah.
Maybe that was part of it, is that they knew that these were going to be broadcast on Betamax on a broadcast television, and they're like, I don't need to draw all the bricks. You'll get the idea.
Maybe.
We have the same thing with the like texture on some of the guys' or like mask things that come over their faces that just have one fold line that looks like a really sad, frowny face.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, these guys are so sad that Ra's al Ghul exploded.
I feel like they needed a couple more Cobra Commander like creases on that because it did just look like one big sad face with the big eyes.
Yeah, especially because it's like after the helicopter fell behind a hill, and then the guy turns toward the camera and like, what's happening?
Okay, new TikTok idea.
I'm sorry, I'm still hung up on the bricks. I feel like the brick money. The brick money went
Brick
to the.
is Brian's name on this podcast.
The brick money went to the green bubbling juice.
Yeah,
they
there
did a
you
good
go.
job on the green
That's
bubbling
true.
juice. They're like, oh shit, the bricks.
Yeah,
we forgot about the bricks. Just
back,
put a
go
couple
back.
of them in. The green juice and the spewing acid out of the throat.
Yeah. His fire demon breath. I did like when the helicopters crash in the snow is like lit red from the fire. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other legit keen effects that that happened in the episode. But I don't know. A lot of it was pretty straightforward.
I mean,
Yeah.
I guess in the keen effects, are you looking for realism?
just
or
like cool shit.
Just cool shit.
Cool
Okay.
shit.
was like,
Otherwise known as
You know when
cool
helicopters crash in the snow turns red, right?
shit. Yeah.
It doesn't melt in the fire. But
No.
And
it just turns red.
and by snow, are you talking about cold sand?
yeah, it's cold sand.
What is? Yeah. What you thought it? Did you actually think it was sand, or were you just saying that? I don't know.
Oh no, I just like thinking about the area. I know that they're in the Himalayas and everything like that, but they just like came from the Middle East. So I'm like, hey, maybe you're still buzzing around some desert area or something like that.
Yeah.
You crashed into the cold sand.
Yeah. What is sand? What is snow but cold sand? If you
I mean,
think
to be
about
fair, there is a lot of here nerdy Bri comes again. There's a lot of areas like that not in winter in the Himalayas. It's just like
Yeah, for
brown
sure.
dirt, like no plants, no nothing, and
But how many miles
Could be.
away is that?
in the Himalayas, 0.
Yeah. Okay. You're the mileage guy, the knowledge.
Oh, from here?
Oh, I mean, I guess how far from the snow to the sand?
It's just like a caveman question. Ugh, help! How far from snow to sand? Me too cold.
Too far, buddy.
I need
too
to get
far.
to cold sand now.
Do you like that part
Feet
where they're
hot.
driving the Jeep in the forest, and then in the next shot they're in a giant like open field or open like
Nothing.
mountain field or whatever? Yeah, rock.
Yeah, that was something.
And then the background, the moon goes by just as fast as the foreground does, so it just zips past the moon. They're going real fast.
They're going
on
really
the Jeep.
fast. It's fine.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Henchman 6 that got his mask ripped off and
Yeah.
said no. When Batman picked him up and held him up against a wall, the first time he held him up, he had like his sandals on that were connected to his toes and hanging off of his heels. But after he lifted him up, fell further off of his heels as well.
That was an
I don't
that was
know.
an interesting
There's a
bit
little
of art
attention to
to
detail.
like like oh, his sandals are slipping. Now you know
Sandal
it's
gravity
serious.
in this episode. Yeah,
The sandal physics are spot on.
I really liked it. All right, let's talk Batman's usefulness, Brian.
Let's talk Batman's usefulness.
We had an early episode, Joe, where we realized that the entire plot would be basically exactly the same if Batman wasn't there. So if you try to imagine Batman wasn't there in this episode, what's his usefulness? I feel like he was pretty useful for the plot here because it didn't happen without him.
Right.
Like, Ra's al Ghul literally comes to him and says, "Come with me, Batman." If Batman doesn't exist, Robin wouldn't exist, the plot wouldn't exist.
Yes, but at the same time, Ra's al Ghul just
You mean Raish?
came up with all. Oh yeah,
do you
Raish,
mean
my
Raish?
bad.
Yeah.
Raz
You mean Gef al Ghul?
has this whole plot and leading him around everywhere, diabolically, I guess.
And
And
Batman's
that
falling
didn't-
for everything.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe you need part 2 of this to know like what exactly is the motive again for Ra's?
He's testing him to see if he'll be a good replacement for him when he dies or whatever.
But he
I'm
knows
pretty
all
sure
this
he
stuff
said
about
that.
him already. Like, couldn't he just been like,
Yeah.
Batman, I found your cave. I know you're Bruce Wayne. Let's talk about you being like my heir or whatever.
So really, like, I feel like there is an argument to which one of them, the two, Ra's or Batman, is more useful here. The episode could have existed without either one of them. I feel like Batman wouldn't have had much to do, but I don't.
Well,
I'm doing a bad job of explaining
if
this.
Ra's
Batman's
kid-
most important role here was carrying Ra's up to the green liquid
That's true. Yeah, up to the green pool.
because Kronk couldn't do it.
Yeah. Was it you that said like Ra's has 40 strong ass
Yeah.
henchman.
But Batman's got to carry him.
Batman has to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the weirdest. Like Talia could have been like, somebody help him, or we have to get him to the thing. Like, how about the dude who's been like, obsessively licking his butt the whole episode?
Yeah, I'm surprised Ubu didn't be like, don't touch him or whatever. He's just letting him do that.
Or one of the other guys who like bowed to him when he like snapped his fingers or whatever. Like any of those guys. Instead, it's like, no, Batman's got to do it.
I guess also with Batman being there, like if he would not have been there, who would there be to walk in front of him like he's not supposed to?
The Panther? I don't think so. Okay, so I'm not going to steal yours, but you can go ahead and say it. You've already spoiled what it is.
I feel like I've got to say another one. I said that already. So
Brian said he was gonna give it Batman jackets or whatever.
Yeah, Batman and like fuzzy jackets. But I will give him 8 because 8 out of 10. 1007 mountain drives.
I'll give Batman. Fuck, I don't know, man. There's too many things in this episode. There was nothing in this episode. There's too many things.
So this is just picking a rating scale?
Yeah, a 1 to 10 scale, and then an object.
Yeah, out of 10. Yeah.
I generally agree with Brian. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 Panther suppositories.
Okay, good.
Nice.
I'll go with... You put me on the spot. I don't want to think about it.
We do this every time. I mean,
I know.
You could do the circle bullets. You could do like bazooka-ing helicopters themselves. You could do
2x4s for fighting with.
2x4s, scythes, slipping sandals.
I'll give Batman
incense shops.
7 out of 10 guys that really don't want Batman to kiss him.
Nice.
There we go. Joe, I'm not going to tell you what this means. You just have to think from your heart, okay? Was this episode books or hip-hop?
Ooh. I don't know.
Do you think it was more books or more hip-hop? What is the general sense?
Books?
Yeah, books.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's probably books.
I think I'll give it books, too, yeah.
I could go books, yeah.
We don't know what
general
it means
consensus,
Okay.
it's books.
we just pick one every time.
Yep.
Okay, Brian, do you put this on your top 10?
Not yet.
Yeah, you're deciding based with part 2?
Yeah, this standalone? No.
No.
Absolutely
it wasn't.
not.
It was good. Like, it was fine.
It was fine. It just wasn't
I feel
much.
like it's important.
Yeah.
You're
You got the
introducing
green
a
juice.
major character.
Yeah. As a guest, though, Joe, you automatically have to put this on your top 10 because you only have one so far.
Yeah.
But what number are you going to put it at?
This is a solid number 3 right now.
Okay.
Ooh, you got feelings about this episode. I hear you.
Yeah, it's got important plot to it to the grand scheme of everything going forward, I feel like. But there could be something better hiding. Leave some space.
Hiding in the green juice.
Someone get that man some Tums.
Yeah, that's the bile. It's just all stomach acid.
It's been keeping him alive for 600 years or more.
Yeah, or 602 years. He was 2 years old the first time he used a Lazarus
Boiling
pit.
absinthe.
Yeah. Boiling creme de menthe.
Oh, God.
Okay, now we do the mail segment.
That yop. That one small extra yop put it over.
We drop
What we drop?
our weekly yaps
Oh yeah, those.
into the comment box. First, there sure was a lot.
Now Jamie's mad.
Too bad we're all
At least I am.
just Dylan Pollock.
Joe doesn't understand who Dylan Pollock is, but that's okay.
That was long. It
The long song?
was longer than I expected it to be.
You're welcome.
You sort of get the Yop reference, I suppose, at this point. Just in case you don't hear, listener, if you don't hear your mail read, it means that the mailbox is still fucked up, and you got to tell me because I don't know what's going on. This is Jump on the Mechanic Wagon, episode 7 from Scar Lowy 1. We're in the mail section that Joe will get none of the inside jokes about, but we're going to do them anyway. Here we go.
Hello, listener, and welcome to Jump on the Mechanic Wagon. I'm your host, Dylan Scarlowy1. In this episode, I will tell you about Season 1, Episode 7 of Earl, the animated series, The Goblin and the Garage, Part 1. One day, while repairing the Batmobile, a portal opens up in the garage, and a man in a green suit on some sort of hoverboard flew out of it. Upon seeing Earl, he grabbed him and said, "Where is Spider-Man?" Earl replied, "I don't know any Spider-Man, but I know a Batman." "Batman," said the goblin, and then he flew off.
Wow.
I find it weird. People don't talk about this DC Marvel crossover more. Anyway, see you next time. Same BB time, same poo-poo channel.
That joke is here, same pee-pee time. Brian, I wanted to let you know that we're up, I think it's because of this episode, we're up 2 points in ranking on India TV reviews.
You're welcome.
Sweet.
You're welcome, from Joe. The Demon's Quest Part 1 from Keen Machine. Greetings, James and Brian. Busy week for me. My thoughts are attached. Keep it keen. Keen Machine is why we have the Keen Effects segment.
Greetings, James and Brian. Remember how during Day of the Samurai I said, "Oh, I don't really like Batman episodes that take place outside of Gotham City"? Well, this is an exception. Because Ra's al Ghul is an awesome villain, great character. I love this two-parter. I think it's always so fun to revisit. I think it's great. I think it's enjoyable. It's got a little bit of mystery, and it's really well paced. They fit a lot of information into this first half of the episode. I kind of forgot where one episode dropped and the other one began, so I was really surprised how far we got into this plot just in the first episode. Anyway, it's great. I love it. I hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to part 2. Keep it keen. Oh, also really quick, to address this whole See No Evil debacle, because apparently everyone in the world just thinks this episode is great, except for me and Jordan. Shout out to Jordan for being right. I will never apologize. That episode is the opposite of keen.
This is the last episode we watched.
I actually do have thoughts on that.
Okay.
First of all, you know how it happened once, I guess, watching Batman and Robin, we kept a tally of how many ice puns they made.
Yes. Uh-huh.
You should keep a Roz and Raish tally. Because the first I went,
Talia.
Went with Raish, huh? That's the side that you're taking? Okay. I think we addressed the pacing thing earlier as well, in that we agreed that this was not paced well.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was
one until it wasn't.
Yeah, it was paced good for what it had to do, I guess. But then just as an overall episode, it was just kind of like, okay, and the next thing, and the next thing.
It felt very, in a way, it felt very jump to very different places.
It's a jump to conclusions, Matt.
Some Matt with different conclusions on it that you can jump to.
I just had the inspiration that I think I'm going to be an agent of chaos, and whenever anybody says the name of that dude with
You'll
the
say
crazy
the
facial
opposite.
hair,
Actually, it's
I'm
the
going to be like,
opposite one.
oh, do you mean this one? So I'm going to be a jerk about that for the rest of the show. Be prepared.
I feel like there are a lot of hardcore DC Comics fans that could have a half-hour argument with you about that, and myself included, apparently, because we did it earlier. but now that you're learned with knowledge, you can have an argument back, I guess.
I'm a contrarian. There's no knowledge here.
This is GCN Musical Minute from Jordan Blumen.
Bring it, Jordan.
Tonight's top story, I have it on good authority that Robin has been kidnapped while investigating a crime. It's almost as if, welcome to GCN, Gotham City News with Jack Ryder. That was odd. I got partway into the story, and then the title card played. Don't know what's up with that. Anyway, Gotham has gone to hell since Batman has disappeared for a couple of days again. Batman, you have to take fewer vacations. Jesus! Now over to the music. I liked the use of silence, once again, when Ra's al Ghul is coughing very loudly and seems like he might be dying. I really liked the music right as they are lowering him into the Lazarus pit. It felt very much like the music right before they opened the Ark of the Covenant in Raiders of the Lost Ark. This sort of mysticism with a side of foreboding. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, there were some Indiana Jones-isms to this episode.
Some pretty quality feedback there.
Yeah, Jordan always has really good musical input. He's used the word leitmotif several times.
Okay.
He's talked about Dies Irae. There's all this stuff.
In a way, I feel like the music didn't stand out quite enough, actually. I kind of wish it would have had a little bit, maybe it's a mixing issue, that it should have been a little bit more present at times as well. That or I was just so entranced in what was going on dialogue-wise and just way too into, no! no, you took my mask off.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that Aladdin-ish bit when they get to Malaysia was like the only part that stuck out to me that I noticed the music. And I think that we've talked in the past that like if I don't notice the music, that means it must have been fine. If I do notice it, it was either really good or really bad. Good or like what the fuck is this? You know?
I couldn't hum a single melody back to you from this episode.
No. I don't think anyone really had a theme in this. It was just kind of Batman goes a yonder place.
Batman goes a yonder.
Batman goes a yonder.
That could also be the title
That's
for
the new name of the episode.
No, I don't like it.
Batman goes a yonder.
I don't want it. Scotty Cameron, no subject line. Oh, here's some music.
Hurry up! Hurry! Are you ready for your first review? Yes.
God damn it, it's the super
Review
king.
number 1, Demon's Quest. A good Batman story is complete. It does not end in a cliffhanger that keeps us hanging. But. One episode did. You, and with to be continued. And we all know what that means. Don't we, Yoppie boys and girls? I think we need to wait till part 2. Yes, I do. So in the meantime, Dylan, the answer to your question is moi, I am the best. Meanwhile, the worst? Bravo. You have caused me a great deal of stress, Sherbert. You are not only an annoying presence, but you are so...
What? It just ends.
Oh, it's the cliffhanger.
You are so...
It's the cliffhanger.
Yeah, to be continued.
Yeah. You'll get the rest of that message next episode.
I guess he's saying Penguin is the worst, I suppose. Or maybe Sherbet himself is the worst.
I think it's Sherbet.
So I'm assuming that it's quite uncommon for there to be a to be continued episode.
There have been like 4, maybe 5 before this, and we're on the 58th episode or something. So
it's good to change it up every once in a while.
Yeah. I mean, I get that was the thing we were talking about the pacing is obviously I can't tell you anything that happens in part 2, but I don't think it needed to be 2 parts. Like they could have done all those scenes with Batman getting tested or not done all those scenes at all. Like you were saying, of like, well, I know you're Batman. I've seen you do shit on the news.
It still feels like a complete episode.
Yeah.
What if they put him into VR?
What if the Riddler had a giant computer that he put Batman in?
What color is the juice going to be next episode?
Yeah. What do we have? Juice prediction.
Batman's origin story.
Oh,
did I get it?
Dylan Pollock's the Dylan's Quest Part 1.
It's time for the Thoughts of the Week with Dylan Pollock on the Demon's Quest Part 1, where that's not going to Calcutta it. Hey there, Jim Carrey and Bryan Cranston. So, first of all, do you guys think Batman was going up to random thugs asking if they've seen Robin? And then when they said no, was he going, okay, have you seen unrelated college student Dick Grayson, who just happens to be missing at the same exact time? Yes. Also, Batman has this reaction where he says, Ra's al Ghul, you're Talia al Ghul's father. And it's hard to believe that the greatest detective could not put that one together. Shocked that he was shocked by that. Also, we have a pretty bad twist towards the end of this episode that the villain of the episode turns out to be the major villain who all along has been with Batman. We could not have possibly have seen this coming, that the major villain is the villain. So let's get to the questions of the week, James' favorite part. That's right, I said questions.
Oh.
First, if your food is bad at a restaurant, do you, James and Brian, say something or do you just sort of roll with it? And second, what's your favorite guilty pleasure TV show?
Oh, I know where James is going.
Well, I was going to say, this is a good question to ask while Joe's on the podcast, because Joe absolutely hates when his food is wrong.
I, on the other hand,
but I don't think...
Before we get into that, at the beginning of that message, when you said it's not going to Calcutta it, I owe you this.
There used to be a button.
That's a good one. That'll work for now. That's a good one.
I'll say I don't think Talia told him her last name in the previous episode, so I don't think he had anything on her like to go off of for that. That's my will it canon-y episode answer for that question. But I think guilty pleasure TV show. Was that the question? This one.
That's one of them.
And this show. And Battlestar Galactica. And then I guess, well, no, a guilty pleasure implies it's bad. Shut the fuck up, Joe.
It's not the one I was expecting you to say.
I don't have a guilty. Oh, you think you know my answer to guilty pleasure TV show?
Kind of, yeah.
What? Is
it gonna be Friends?
I don't hate Friends, but I also recognize it's like lower quality comedy.
Big Bang Theory?
Oh no. No. Brian actually kind of likes Big Bang Theory, I think. I don't know.
I mean, I was really into it.
Be careful what you say, bro.
Like I was really into it in 2010.
Okay. I still don't like that answer, but I'll let you have.
I don't know. I don't think
70-something-year-olds.
I don't think I have. Yeah. I don't think I have a like guilty pleasure show so much because again, I think you were saying it's like that's like something that's like so trash that you love it. Like Kimmy and Ellen have like they watch Love Island a lot, and they're like, "Oh, this is
okay."
Like,
I have my answer. Then is Fuckboy Island. I watch Fuckboy Island. I can't wait for the next season.
Is that?
It's the same thing, but it's fuckboys.
Is there an actual? Is it actually called Fuckboy Island? Is that
it's
an actual
called
show?
F-Boy Island.
Oh
it's
my god!
But and then in the show they still refer to them as F-boys. But they say fuck all the time on the show, so I don't know.
When you're saying guilty pleasure show, does it have to be the entire series, or can it be part of it?
I don't know.
Do I have to enjoy to enjoy the entire thing?
Just give us a thing.
Yeah.
The first 6 seasons of Grey's Anatomy is entertaining.
There you go.
And then it's not.
No, it got kind of boring after that, but and wildly medically wrong the entire time.
Well,
but
yeah.
That I like watching Gordon Ramsay yell at people.
Oh, I don't.
And I also, Penn and Teller have a magic show where people come on and try to trick them.
That's not bad.
And I watch that on YouTube a lot.
I might say, I don't know. I feel like I like really like stand by the things that I watch on purpose. And there's shows that are like not maybe good, but like Flapjack and like Gumball and those sorts of things. I'm just like, those shows are amazing and people might think they're garbage, but I don't feel that way. So
I think they're the standout good shows among a couple others from the most recent era of Cartoon Network.
R.I.P.
Not so great. Well, yeah, now that it's gone or whatever.
Yeah. Should we go to food things?
Yeah. If my food's bad, I don't say anything, but I know it's not the waiter's fault or whatever, but I think I'm more like, I don't want either them to do something to my food, or I just don't want to be a nuisance because I'm like, I came to a restaurant, I'm gambling that the food will be fine.
Yeah.
Like we just went to a restaurant today where we're like, we don't come here, the food's not great, we just come here for the nostalgia.
Oh my God. Was it that place that I would know about?
It's the place that I wanted you to go to, and then you had a horrible food experience.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, that place is awful. So I will, much like you, Jamie, and as someone who was a server previously, it's got to be really problematic for me to send it back because I think the same thing. It's just like, you know what, this is close enough. Rarely is it the waiter's fault. Listener, rarely is it the waiter's fault. Their fault is not noticing that there's like mayonnaise on the sandwich that you requested no mayonnaise on because they didn't open your sandwich to look at it and see if there was mayonnaise. A really good waiter will ask the kitchen first that, hey, is this the way that the customer requested, and then fix it or whatever. But it's a kitchen thing. Just saying.
I think I might know something that Joe might say, which you may take offense to as a former server. I don't know.
Sweet.
But I do not care if you can take my order without writing it down. Please write it down.
Oh, that's exactly what I was going to say. No, I wrote a person who orders food from waiters, if it comes to me wrong and you did not write it down, I'm going to think that it's your fault.
It's like, it's not impressive.
Why didn't you write down what I ordered so you could hand that written down note to the person who makes my food, and then you're passing the blame on. You've written down how this is supposed to be made instead of you just coming up and maybe you forgot something. You just took an order for 8 people at this table who all ordered different things.
Yeah.
And you're going to go back and spew that out, sure, it's possible. And once you've got experience, you're probably pretty good at it. But the likelihood that you're going to mess something up is much higher if you don't write it down, probably.
I'm gonna side with you about like 10 to 15%. The reality is when you're working at a restaurant, people order like
our patties.
Like even at like a place that I worked that had a really like absurdly large menu. You would get the same 5 orders most of the time. And so it becomes easy to like, it's almost like you don't have to memorize it because it's just like, oh, this person got this block, and the like changing things up isn't really like, you know, like it can be super predictable, I think is what I'm trying to say. And so sometimes it's really impressive when people do that. Most of the time it's just like washing your hands after you go to the bathroom, and just kind of like a thing you just do. You just kind of know it.
Oh, you're supposed to do that? But I feel like most of the time that my food gets messed up, it kind of depends on how it's messed up, because if there's like a tomato on it and I ordered no tomatoes, okay, that's stupid. I'll pull the tomato off and still eat it.
Right.
But I feel like a lot of the time, and James, you've eaten that with me plenty, it'll be like
the butter thing.
I ordered a cup of coffee and I never got my cup of coffee.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't I get my, or yeah. That's,
or you tend to do like, oh, I'd like this toast dry, and then they bring it with a pound of butter on it, and you're like, you didn't write it down.
That's the opposite of what I asked for.
Yeah.
I mean, that's also just the default of what that toast would be. So I guess I get what Brian's saying about like, oh, he wanted the toast the end, and they didn't think to check or whatever. But I don't know.
I don't necessarily like place all of the blame on a waiter or anything like that. I mean,
shame on a waiter who tried to run blame on a waiter.
There's lots of orders going in and out. There's lots of tables. I get that something's going to get messed up here and there. I feel like it happens to me a lot. And I don't know if it's because people think I'm an asshole, but I feel like I'm not an asshole when I order food. Like, don't put ketchup on it. Don't put mayo on it.
Oh, they're starting to play the song. We better move on to the next part of the podcast.
Just play that segment at like 150% speed.
Yeah. Before we move on to the comments from the YouTube upload, I do want to mention that we did a poll for whether we should include Freakazoid on the podcast. Yeah. And it had a pretty like overwhelming yes, Freaka yes. That people want us to cover Freakazoid on the podcast.
Hell yeah.
I will say that I never considered the poll to be like, give me the answer that we will definitely do. I kind of wanted to just read people's, like, gauge what they wanted.
Yeah.
And then decide from that. So we'll still like discuss how to integrate it, because whether we give it like its own full episodes, or if we like, okay, well, we'll just cover a Freakazoid episode that happened around the same time of this Batman episode or whatever. Because I don't know if people, I don't know if enough people will want to listen to the podcast about just Freakazoid. But then again, a lot of people said yes to it, so who knows?
What's the split?
It was 75% yes,
wow.
11% no, 14% just having it as segments on other episodes. And that's out of 788 votes. So dude, that's a lot of people that want to see
substantial.
I'm not very familiar with Freakazoid, but it kind of almost seems like it belongs in Osmosis Jones.
Yeah, so this is an Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain continuity show, but it's made by Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, so it's like a sister sort of to DCAU shows. It's not like technically in the universe, but it's like the comedy version of one of these shows, sort of. I liked it. It's got very SpongeBob-y humor. But yeah, we'll keep talking about how best to do that. We don't get to this show for dozens of more podcast episodes, so we'll have plenty of time to figure it out.
You got a few years to think about it.
Yeah, we do. Okay, this is comments. Last thing we do here on See No Evil or We All Have to Pee, Man. This is in reference to a security guard that was trying to get in the bathroom and Batman wouldn't let him. Ashley Tutchin says, I've always loved this episode. I rewatched it last year and I think it really holds up. It definitely has a pretty dark and mature premise. Beyond that, though, it really resonates with me for a pretty personal reason. Okay, I remember he was going to say something about this.
Yeah.
I've never had a great relationship with my father, and as a kid, I was pretty scared of him. He wasn't physically abusive, but he was quite verbally abusive. And my mom kicked him out when I was 6, eventually getting a restraining order. I still have a lot of issues with anxiety and low self-esteem thanks to him. As a kid, this episode really meant a lot to me because it made me realize that my situation wasn't abnormal, and I found that oddly comforting. It wasn't like I thought Batman was going to protect me from my dad or anything, but it did help to know that my family wasn't the only one to go through this sort of thing. Anyway, thanks for another great episode. Looking forward to Demon's Quest next week. Stay Yoppie. I'm very sorry to hear that you went through that, Ashley, but I'm glad that this episode helped you out with that.
Yeah, that's heavy as all hell, but it's cool where you can find those, I don't know, those moments of, I don't even call that like levity, but
I know what you mean. Yeah.
yeah, just to have that connection with something, and yeah, that's.
I hope your dad didn't
sharing.
have an invisible suit that he went around and did crimes in. Because if he did, then he deserves to be punched in the face even more.
Agreed.
And that's okay. Tipped Apricot. I should have more to say about the Demon's Quest, but I don't really. It's a good episode that introduces a big Batman villain, has some fun animation moments, and a really cool Batman detective story. However, I don't really think the first half stands well on its own. Unlike some other two-parters, it feels a bit lackluster and like it was just cut because it got too long. And it makes me feel hollower when standing on its own. It's still enjoyable, doesn't spark many intense and deep thoughts for me. It's cool that it shines a negative light on eco-friendly movements that throw humans to the wayside, and I think it nails its comedy, intentional or not, better than some of its dramatic moments, but that's about all I got. Mm-hmm. Looking forward to Brian's thoughts on the official intro of one of Batman's biggest villains, for the inevitable future where I square up with my ever-beloved Keen Machine in a parking lot so we can settle our feelings on See No Evil with a thumb wrestling battle. Hope y'all are enjoying the rainy Oregon fall. See you on the Yop side, my duderino.
Oh my
and
God.
It's got a little tuber hand.
Tuber. Yeah, that rain came in. It just came in.
Oh, yeah, it did. We didn't talk about the eco-friendly thing. Ra's al Ghul being like, oh, humans are always destroying the planet. And Batman's like, and you're the one that gets to make the choice of what to do about that? And he's, I am qualified. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we didn't really touch on that.
But I don't know. I don't have much opinion.
Maybe we'll find out in the next half.
Yeah.
This is why he's qualified to make decisions about the rainforest.
Because he can clap in a rhythmic fashion.
My green juice grows trees too.
Ooh. What if you're onto something there?
The green juice. Cole Papadakis, Jamie dropping them sick beats this episode. Yeah, Joe, you missed out on the synthesizer last episode that we did. Brian whipped out like a 1982 synthesizer.
The Yamaha DX7.
It was pretty close. It was like a small shrunken.
It's a Casio.
Scrudge says, some David Warner adjacent trivs, rest in peace. Corey Burton, who will go on, there's the Casio. Corey Burton, who will go on to become a recurring DCAU voice actor for TAS, is well known for his role as Shockwave on the original Transformers cartoon. Burton's Shockwave voice is actually based on David Warner's performance as the Master Control program from the original Tron. Burton would also go on to voice the Master Control program in the Kingdom Hearts franchise. What the fuck is
I'm noticing a trend,
awesome.
actually.
This trip is making me think you guys should do a spin-off podcast of James trying to introduce Brian to Kingdom Hearts called Get Up on the Hydra's Bat-Wagon. Oh yeah, Joe. The guy that voices a police detective on this Batman show also voiced Hercules Phil in everything that wasn't the movie. So Danny DeVito in the movie, this guy in everything else. So he is Get Up on the Hydra's back.
Oh.
So every time that character is in a Batman episode, we play this.
Oh yeah. Good stuff.
Brings you back. KM says, welcome to Tokyo, a song that's in Keen Machine's messages from a Phineas and Ferb episode. They travel around the world. Okay. I usually try to comment about two-parters at once. When I do that, my comment becomes too long, and James doesn't read them. Well, you're pushing it this time again, but that's okay.
TLDR?
Yeah, you gotta get the TLDR versions out. So I will comment on part 1 as well. My most interesting thing about this episode for me is seeing Batman in places we don't usually see him. He's more of a big city hero who lurks between skyscrapers. Seeing him fight panthers in Indiana Jones temples really sets this episode apart from all others for me. I guess that's, that was kind of cool mentally for me too. Is like, I know this episode pretty well because it's very different. Also, this episode might be first episode that it features something supernatural. Every non-realistic thing up to this point was originated from science, like Clayface or Mr. Freeze is our first look into magic. That might be true.
Is that true?
I mean, we've had like Zatanna was sort of magic we discussed with Dan, but then... Yeah, I don't know. I think most things have been science-y until this point.
Pretty sure suppositories are well rooted.
Magic.
It goes in your butt.
Magic butt pill.
First part's written by Denny O'Neil. James, you don't have to read this part if you mentioned who he is. Okay, hell yeah. How do you pronounce race? Nolan films and DCAU use different pronunciations. This episode written by a character's creator. Should be true to the name means demon's head in Arabic. Arabic native speakers pronounce it like the Nolan movies. I personally like Nolan movies' pronunciation a bit more. That's the Raz version.
So, into that argument still, I actually had a partner this summer who first language was Arabic. She was from Syria.
Show her the name and then.
And how would you say this? Yeah.
This episode has some of the best visuals in whole BTAS, especially the Lazarus scene. There are no more sunrise episodes. I think Cowboy Bebop theme should be changed for something else. My recommendation is you two. Thanks for spoiling that. No, it's okay. I didn't actually know that. So we would have just been sad to find out eventually. My recommendation is you two should decide some piece of music or sound effect from Akira and use it whenever TMS makes an episode. It's just the motorcycle.
Probably just the screaming Akira.
Yeah.
Rose.
Rose Dog. Crazy Duplicate. Freakazoid is amazing. Easily one of my favorites. You'd not be missing out by showing it to him. I don't know if you need to dedicate entire episodes to it or not, but fuck yeah, that show rocks.
We could always just do short episodes. I mean, if it ended up being a 15-minute episode, then so be it.
No, they're half-hour episodes, I'm pretty sure.
I meant us.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, that's why I was thinking it might work as a segment, is that we just like, and also we watched this Freakazoid episode. It was funny, the end, or whatever. So I don't know. I was James Royster. I was so confused watching this episode because I swore See No Evil was the name of Batman Beyond episode that I remember a lot better than this one. But no, that's actually Sneak Peek. To be honest, I think this is the better of the two episodes. There's also, I'll say, there's an episode of Batman Beyond called Speak No Evil. So maybe that's what you were thinking of. P.S. I'm glad I wasn't the only one creeped out by the pearl necklace line. P.P.S. You forgot the mummy when listing Universal monsters, you failures. P.P.S.S. Pee-pee poo-poo.
Nice.
Banana Man says okay.
Okay.
Batgirl. This is a recurrent. Every episode is Banana Man says okay. Batgirl Fangirl, The Demon's Quest. What a brilliant episode. I'm so glad we're finally here. I'm a big Indiana Jones fan. I liked Dylan's review, by the way. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The movies to watch before you die. I started listening to that, Dylan, by the way.
Also, Dylan.
Oh, no. I pressed both at the same time. Dylan, what?
Lizzie McGuire movie.
Oh, yeah. Why did you do that?
I mean, well, I guess it wasn't
it wasn't his pick.
It was Gab's pick, but
yeah. The podcast that he hosts is about movies to watch before you die, and they watched the Lizzie McGuire movie. I don't know.
I mean, you keep trying to get me to watch Battlestar Galactica.
That's not a movie. But to be fair, I haven't seen Jaws, so
you haven't. Okay. I'm sorry, I don't want to say the thing that I know everybody.
Brian, there's a whole list.
I don't get to have.
I've still got the list.
Cinematic opinions anymore. Yeah. This and subsequent episodes really have that globetrotting mystique about them that lends itself to the world of BTAS so well. I love the late David Warner as Ra's al Ghul or Ra's al Ghul, if you prefer.
Neither.
Like, they spelled it exactly the same. I just had to choose one. It's such a commanding performance. He's by far my favorite actor to voice the role. Ra's or Ra's, if you prefer, is such a complex, maniacal, ruthless villain and sometimes ally to Batman. I won't say more as I don't want to ruin part 2.
Thank you.
First class animation, music score, and voice acting, in my opinion, one of the best episodes of BTAS. Looking forward to seeing Brian's reaction to this one. Keen podcast, guys. 5 stars and 5 creepy jackal masks. P.S. I couldn't find a jackal mask emoji, so I used giraffes instead. Yeah, so that's a tough one to find the emoji for.
Nice.
Super Luigi 64. Holy crap, that synth sounds exactly like the one they used in a lot of Homestar Runner cartoons.
It's actually been used on, I can't remember what Gorillaz song they used it, but it's a Casio MT45. Look it up.
Get educated. Levi Church says, I've never seen Freakazoid. It would be interesting to see y'all covered on a podcast, but maybe not entire podcast for every episode. Maybe just a podcast for season 1 and one for season 2. That's an interesting idea.
Oh.
Because, it's a pretty short show. But at the same time, having watched all of it before, I do have like specific things to say about specific episodes. I guess that could count as one. I don't know. Well, think about it, okay? VGF Mac.
You had the G silent.
Vjef Al Ghul Mac. I wouldn't mind Freakazoid as something tacked onto regular episodes as a recurring bit. I don't think it should take up full episode slots of the podcast because the DCAU has a lot of ground to cover and Freakazoid isn't a universally agreed upon part of the universe. Many opinions being had here.
This sounds to me like one of those, I have a friend who owns an amazing brewery. If you're ever in Lakeport, California, go look up O'Mara Brothers Brewing Company. Just quick plug there.
Hey, you can see an ad for it in the Poison Ivy video on the back of Brian's laptop that I
Oh, yeah, that's right. But he is a really tremendous businessman and brewer, as it is. And mentioned that there's some, crazy statistic out there. The numbers I'm sure aren't that important, but saying that people are more likely to write a negative review than a positive review. And saying that like 75% of people are like, yeah, do it. You're more likely to get the written stuff, people saying, nah.
I see. Yeah. You're just having that, you're applying that to the Freakazoid opinions is what you mean.
Yeah. So you're probably not going to hear.
Yeah, because we have comments saying like, I don't know about that. And then overwhelming 700 something votes being like, yes, do it. Oh God.
Yeah. So something to consider.
Yeah. Biking on weird how the DCAU dips into a suit doing terrible thing. What? Weird how the DCAU dips back into a suit during what? Weird how the DCAU dips back into a suit doing terrible. Oh, I see. Weird how the DCAU dips back into a suit doing terrible things to a terrible person. What with spoilers fate in the BB episode sneak peek. He's talking about the Invisible Man's suit like poisoning him and stuff.
Oh, okay.
It took me so long to understand what the fuck you were saying. As an adult, this episode is so chilling, especially with my own child. I did actually feel different watching it, having a kid than I did not having a kid. I'm like, whatever, the little girl, it doesn't matter. I don't care about children, but now I do. As an adult, especially my own child, really leaning hard on the adult fears in this. You're never afraid of what's going to happen to Batman, but you are worried that something will happen to a helpless, innocent child. As it is, she's probably got a lot of mojo trauma to work through, LOL. Yeah, LOL. And Sneak Peek will really lean on this, the powers hurting you to a gruesome extreme. Just remember this episode in a decade when you get to it.
Deal.
Jarlid97 says, I don't know if Freakazoid hits within the bounds of the DCAU, but I definitely recommend Brick checking it out. It's pretty good from what I remember. Dylan Pollock, is Brian just Dick Van Dyke from Mary Poppins covered in instruments at all times? It's surprising. This one, more than any, has literally been the favorite of some and worst of others. I think this episode is solid. 3.4 Rontgen? What? Not great, but terrible. Chernobyl reference initiated far past relevancy. Okay. Do you get that, Joe? You watched Chernobyl, didn't you?
I did.
What does that mean? Is that a Russian
Chernobyl?
Something?
Yeah.
Tell me there's not a show about like a dramatization.
Yeah, there was a miniseries. It was really good.
Yeah.
It rings
Why
a bell,
are you so
but
disappointed in that, Brian?
The same thing. I had the same reaction when I found out that like they're doing a thing with like serial killers and they're like making like
the Jeffrey Dahmer show. Yeah.
It's just like when there's just that much suffering, like I feel like it's fine to make a documentary, but if you're making a show that you're making a lot of money off of, like a lot of people suffered because of that, and that's really not cool.
Right, yeah. I can see.
Does the money go to the people that suffered?
Most likely not.
Their families? Probably not, but I'm trying to make it feel better.
I'm trying to make Brian feel better. Lanola Cola says, I hope Brother Broderick breaks out more instruments for future official synopses. The synthesizer was brilliant. And speaking of the Demon's Quest, I wonder if James is bothered with the pronunciation issues of Ra's al Ghul.
You mean Ra's al Ghul?
I always use Raz over Raish, says Lanola Cola.
You mean...
Yeah, just say... You mean you're wrong. Gef al Ghul. Wency 209 didn't have any monkeys in it. 0 out of 10.
Damn it.
This see no evil. Kate Tastic. 3rd. I would enjoy a Freakazoid interlude in an episode, I think. Scarloe says, 2nd, I have a few things to say. 1, I love how JJ and the Brick always sound drunk for the first few minutes of the podcast. 2, just the first. There are only like 25 episodes of Freakazoid, so I think you should watch it. 3, Raish does wear green, so Brian is kind of right.
Yeah.
And the green juice. And lastly, we have Mark Aquino. Do my eyes deceive me? We have good animation this time. This is not a drill, people. We have good animation. Sobbing uncontrollably. I had almost forgotten what it was like to have good animation on this show. Dong Yang and Spectrum, you both came in clutch for us. Wonderful. Anyway, Batman's latest diabolical enemy, the Invisible Condom Man. Spooky. Not to be gross, his suit, when visible, literally looks like a huge body condom. If this were the movie Hollow Man, then it would be gross.
That's what we call morph suits these days.
Yeah, Condom Man. It's ironic that in an episode about an invisible man, the little girl Kimberly is voiced by future Emmy winner Elizabeth Moss of Mad Men and Handmaid's Tale fame, who would star in the Invisible Man movie almost 30 years later. Yes, we talked about this a lot. I'm glad that, like, I felt like that was my little, like, I'm the only one that gives a shit about this piece of trivia. It's just so weird to me, but whatever. And then, like, every comment has on that episode was just like, oh my God, did you know the thing about the Invisible Man? I'm like, okay, so I'm not the only one. That's good.
You're in good company.
Yeah. Also, if I had a nickel for every time there was a character named Kimberly in a popular Fox Kids show, I'd have 2 nickels. Not much, I know, but it's weird. It's happened weird. There's more than one, but I digress.
Wait, that's a Dr. Doofenshmirtz line, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We figured this out recently.
Oh, did we?
Yeah. I think so, or at least I did. Loved the Zeta Month prologue video. I thought it was great. I just know that schmuck Yop of the Yop Tower is just seething with fury. I'd feel bad for him, and yet I really don't. If his most recent episode is anything to go off of, trying to hype him up in his own comment section is getting harder to do. You see, it's not easy being a double agent for you guys, but someone's got to do it. Yeah, I haven't. I'll be honest. I have not listened to the last 3 Yop Tower episodes.
I think I'm 2 behind at this point.
Yeah. They get longer and longer, and then I'm like, but the joke was funnier when these were 30 seconds or whatever.
I mean, I still like the lore. I'm just feeling bad that I haven't had a chance to get into it lately.
Yeah, when Maddie and I were filming one of the Zeta Month videos, we were listening to a Yop Tower episode, and they were talking about, like, I know how we can beat the Watchtower at their own game. We can make a Zeta Project timeline video. And we were sitting there getting ready to film a Zeta Month video. and we were just laughing because nobody knew at that time that we were about to go into a whole month of Zeta Project videos. So, like, when they can finally do it, they technically beat us, I guess. All the best to the #1 podcast hosts in this here multiverse of ours, the Jamie of my dreams and brother Brian Brick Broderick Brushy briefly broadening my briny bread box with bronze braziers and brew pubs. Owned by Bronson Pinchot Pincott? I don't know. He himself brutishly breached from Britain and the Bronx brokered by Brazil's brightest brigade of brainiac brunettes, brassy broccoli, and brownies named Brad, who are brimming with bratty brilliance and breathtaking braggadocio. Bohemian Rhapsody. Praise to our Lord and Savior Dylan Pollock and his disciples, Scarloe, One Batgirl, Fangirl, Scotty, Cameron, Wency, 209, Tip Tapricot, Keen Machine, Banana Man, etc. And all the awesome sauce listeners of this yappy community of ours, you are all the best. Never forget that. Mark my words, I will send a voice message next time around, and you better hold me to it, or else I don't know, tickle Dan Reba or something. I'll figure it out later. Ugh, I gotta warn Dan. Until next week, I shall attempt to capture the Invisible Condom Man with a smoke bomb. And then the smoke bomb emojis.
Wow.
I don't think you said first in this entire comments. That was the whole point, I thought, but whatever.
No, I'm actually going beyond that.
That's it. That's the episode. Thanks, Joe, for being here for the episode.
Thanks for letting me talk into this microphone.
Yeah, it's been chocolatey good. I like hearing your voice in my ears this way. If you can always speak to me by putting your mouth right up to my ear in the future.
Anything for you.
I know. Thank you. Next week's episode, of course, is the Demon's Quest Part 2. And I say, of course, even though half the time it's not actually been Part 2. It's been like some episode in between. What do you think is going to happen in the Demon's Quest Part 2, Brian? What's your prediction?
Awkward pauses.
Well, okay.
Wait, I wasn't
What are they
finished.
going to... Do you think Ra's al Ghul is going to throw his doubter into the green juice? Do you think Batman is going to punch him in the face?
I think he's
What do
going to
you
get
think's
punched. I think, Robin's probably going to save her, though.
He's going to save her?
Robin's he's going to throw her into
What is he going to save her? Some juicy beef off the barbecue?
Yeah, probably.
Fresh from the green juice. Yeah.
Robin's going to be having some barbecue.
It's just a shake of like spinach and stuff.
Yeah.
Just put him in the green. Put him in the green.
Dip it in the avocado reduction.
Yeah, all these things and more are going to happen in the next episode.
There's no Green Goblin though. He's going to be Green Goblin those Ra's al Ghul titties down there. If you want to reach out to us like the fire hand at the end of the Cat in the Claw Part 2, please email us at podcast@watchtowerdatabase.com and hopefully it comes through. You can also send us one single voice message by going to anchor.fm/Bat-Wagon and leave a comment on today's episode on the Podtower YouTube channel. Subscribe for new DCAU podcasts every week, you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe, subscribe to the podcast. Have you done that yet?
Who?
You idiot.
Joe, do you listen to our
Probably not.
podcast?
No.
Nope.
Joe.
You have a 2% higher chance of listening to this episode.
It's true.
New episodes of the podcast are released every Friday on the Podtower YouTube channel, as well as your favorite podcast feed, watchtowerdatabase.com. That's it. That's the end. We're leaving now.
You might be. Joe and I are going to hang around and talk about cars. I don't know.
What? I can't hear you, Brian. Guess we're done.
I guess we're
with the
done.
podcast. See you next time for the Demon's Quest Do.
I'll be here. You'll be here. Joe.
Maybe.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Thanks, listener.
Bye.
Joe, say something funny to end this podcast.
Cat's up.
Put her down! I said, put her